Okay, I'm ready.
Hi everyone, I'm here today with England International PCA Women's Player of the Year and more recently Perth Scorchers all-rounder Sarah Glenn. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm alright, thanks. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. Nice to be home.
Yeah, but it is. Lots of time away from home this year.
Yes, a lot. But I wouldn't have changed it. Like, I've really enjoyed it. So, yeah, but I'm happy to be back.
Lovely. Right, so a lot has happened since we last spoke to you. It's just been over a year where we spoke to you about your debut for England. So
Yeah.
just going to take a little tour through the year that you've done. So just want to start off with what was it actually like making your debut for England a whole year ago?
Very nerve-wracking. I just felt, I just wanted to just do well. And I just didn't want to do well. I just didn't want to do badly. And but it was just really nice, kind of, the girls all kind of had my back and kind of reassured me before the game, like if I was nervous, that's completely normal. Just take the first few balls just to get into your spell and then off you go kind of thing. So, yeah, nerve-wracking. But once I bowled the first over, I felt like I could just breathe, relax and just crack on really with the game.
And was it what you were expecting at all, making your debut, or was it completely different to what you'd thought it might have been like?
I think it was what I thought it would be like, except for I didn't think I'd be that nervous. Normally, kind of on kind of big events or occasions, I kind of get more of adrenaline rush and not so much nerves, and I kind of thrive on that. But the nerves just really got was a lot more than I thought it was. So that's the only difference. But other than that, it's kind of everything I'd expect it to be. Kind of all the girls were kind of buzzing around me and just, I think, just excited for me, which was quite nice as well.
Yeah, but that helped you feel a little bit more calm about it all as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because we were probably playing like a 50 over game, I think my first debut, and so I kind of had a bit more time between overs, so like I'd just be kind of jogging through the overs and a few of the girls would come up to me and just say little things, and just like that kind of just helped me got through it. And so that was kind of quite nice. And even before the game, the coaches and staff would just kind of reassure me like, it's fine, it's just another game of cricket. So that's kind of what helped me got through it as well.
Lovely. And then from making your debut last year, you then went on to play at the World Cup in Australia. So was that something you would ever imagine would have happened in that short space of time, that you'd have been over in Australia for such a big event?
No way. Not at all. I kind of imagine, first of all, I didn't imagine making my debut that early. Obviously you never know if you're going to make your debut, but I thought if I was going to, it'd be further down the line. So for all of it to happen in such a short space of time, it was kind of overwhelming, but I felt just so lucky. So not lucky, but I just felt I felt really happy where my form was. So I just thought I'm just going to really enjoy this moment and try not to stress about it. Even if I do perform badly, at least I've got the opportunity to go to these places and experience playing in a World Cup. So I couldn't really complain. I just really enjoyed it.
And then obviously it was such a big stage. Like, did that affect you at all? The fact that you knew how many people would be in stadiums and it was broadcast almost everywhere. So did that play a part in how you felt?
Yeah, definitely. I think it helped that I'd recently just made my debut, so I'd had that experience of those nervous feelings in a game and like how to deal with them. Obviously, a World Cup stage is obviously very different, but I felt like I took out what I learned from Malaysia into that situation, and just knowing everyone was watching and the crowds and everything. I actually loved it because it was just kind of, you got such an adrenaline rush from it and you just wanted to show what you could do. So I personally loved it. That's one thing I do miss actually since COVID. So yeah, I kind of just used it to my advantage and just used it as a positive way.
Yeah. And then obviously you mentioned COVID hit. So then what was it like not knowing what was going to happen with the international summer or just cricket in general?
Oh yeah, it really wasn't pleasant. I think obviously everyone just wanted to get back onto the field. I think personally for me, because I felt like I was in good form, I was just so worried of losing that form and I just wanted to carry on. So that was a bit stressful to deal with at the start, but then I kind of realised this isn't going to happen very often. You're not going to get this amount of time away from cricket. So I just really took that on board and tried to take advantage of it and just really switch off from cricket and just work really hard on my fitness, spending time with my family because I'd been away quite a bit, and just focus on my studies. So it wasn't very pleasant cricket terms, but I just kind of tried to flip it to see the positives.
Yeah. And then obviously you were in a bubble at Derby to start with.
Yeah.
Preparing for the games coming up. What was that like? What was bubble like?
Yeah, weird at first. I think because we were all just in the same spot, so it was just kind of hotel room, cricket training. Because even our food on the marquee was next to the ground, so it felt kind of hard to switch off at times. But I think because we spent quite a lot of time there, we just adjusted to it. It was almost like a trial and error the first time we went there about things to do to pass our time or to switch off from cricket. I think it helped for me that being my home, that used to be my home county. It was kind of a familiar scene for me, so it's quite. I think that was quite comforting for me. So. Took that on board as well, but yeah, it was a bit surreal, but I think we adjusted to it eventually.
Did you have any sort of highlights from your time in the bubble? Anything fun that happened or that you enjoyed?
I think it was probably the last night when I found out I got player of the series. I knew I'd got player of the match in one of the games, but it was just nice to have that finish to it. And I just remember it was all in the change room and just kind of the atmosphere. Everyone was just kind of buzzing that we'd won the series. But I think it was quite emotional as well because we'd been in a bubble for so long, and it was kind of like all the emotions kind of came out, and it was just almost like we were just really happy we got through it, and we displayed some really good cricket. So I think that last night just kind of not saying goodbye to everyone, but just kind of acknowledging that we got through it was really nice.
And then before the West Indies came over and you actually got an international summer, you managed to play in a couple of the games for Central Sparks in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint competition. So what was the standard like in that setup for the short amount of time you were there before you went to the other bubble again?
Oh, it was really good. I felt like it pushed me. I thought it was a really good standard. And it was just really nice to be back playing with some of the girls as well. Just kind of sometimes getting away from that England environment is quite refreshing sometimes. I thought it was really good. And it was really useful heading into the next bubble as well. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. What are like the main differences then between this new domestic setup and the old domestic setup of what it used to be?
I think obviously the standard's obviously really good, but I think there's just a lot more probably motivation for the girls because we kind of, as a new team, we're all getting together and it's kind of the best playing the best kind of environment, and but in saying, I don't want to say best of best because that was the case beforehand, but I think it's also getting a lot of the youngsters kind of in and around that competitive environment, and they can learn from it as well. So I think in terms of the standard, I think it was good before and it's good now, but I feel like the motivation for it and just the drive for it is just really kind of gone. I kind of felt that feeling when I went into those 2 days. So yeah, I think it's going to really push on some of the girls, and it's going to be really good for young girls coming up into the teams as well.
Lovely. And then obviously you played against the West Indies. You ended up having a great series personally and obviously as a team. So you finished player of the series. What did that mean to you after such a short amount of time in the team, the summer that we didn't know what was going to happen? How did it make you feel, really?
Oh, it was just really nice. I think it was more emotional for me just because when kind of COVID hit and I wasn't able to carry on playing, I was really gutted because I felt I was in good form. And I think one thing I was really worried about is coming back into training, I might have lost that form or struggling to regain it. So to kind of feel like I picked up from where I left off was really kind of made me happy that I knew I did everything I could kind of in training and mentally switching off with my family during COVID as well. So yeah, it was just, and I think obviously we're doing it at Derby as well was even kind of more special because that's where I've grown up around that environment as well. So that kind of made it even more special.
And then obviously you've been trying to focus more on getting your name out there as like an all-rounder. But are there any new challenges that you've now faced now that you've shown what you can do with the bat in an England shirt?
Yeah, I guess so. I think there's always that feeling of, I think beforehand, because I was kind of batting low down the order and was more just of a bowler, they kind of had less expectation. But now that I've probably had a couple of innings where I've kind of shown a little bit more, there might be that bit of expectation there, but I'm going to not let that affect me. I'm just going to see it as an opportunity to try and get up the order and show what I can do. Obviously, I think the difference is doing it at international standard. Obviously, it's a lot tougher. You're facing some really good bowlers. But I think on the plus side of that, I kind of get to face English bowlers who are really talented. And so that will help, that will push me as well. So I think there are a few challenges, but for me, I'm more just excited to be getting more opportunity now and to try and show what I can do, really.
Yeah. How did you find out? So when you were nominated for Women's Player of the Year for the PCA Awards, how did you actually find out about that?
So we kind of we was all in the bubble at the time, and the three nominees we all kind of knew. We got told we'd been nominated, and then one afternoon I just got a phone call from the PCA and they told me, and I was kind of there like, have you got the wrong number? Like I wasn't expecting it. So that's kind of how I found out, and then everyone else found out as well before it got released, which was quite nice. So yeah, that's kind of how we all figured it out.
Was it you said it was a surprise, obviously, but was the support around you really good from hearing news?
Yeah, definitely. Like everyone was just really buzzing for me, and it was just really nice, them all coming up and saying really nice things. But I think it meant more because they had voted for it. I think if it was voted for by someone else and they were congratulating me, obviously that'd be really nice. But knowing that the girls I've been training with voted for me was just really, really nice, and kind of knowing they've got my back. So yeah, it was really nice.
And then obviously shortly after that series with the West Indies, you then flew off to Australia for the Big Bash with the Perth Scorchers. So how did you keep busy during the first 2 weeks of quarantine when you first got there?
God, I'm trying to remember now. It feels so long ago. I don't even know, to be honest. It was really surreal. I mean, I think it helps the fact that I'm studying. So I kind of used it to my advantage of trying to get really on top of my studies. Luckily, we had some little weights and a mini treadmill. So I just made sure I got a lot of exercise done, did studying, and then bought a few paint by numbers, some books. I brought a lot of stuff just to keep me entertained. So yeah, it was kind of tricky, but luckily some of the IPL was on as well. So I just kind of sit in bed and watch a bit of cricket. So couldn't really complain.
Just wish you'd have been outside, maybe in the sun.
Yes, I mean, luckily I had a balcony with the side where the sun was coming, so that was lucky for me.
And then obviously when you were then met up with the team, what was the village like? Because you all stayed in a little village, didn't you?
Mm.
What was village life like? Was it any different to what bubble life was like over here?
Oh, so different. Kind of, you say the bubble life we had was obviously it was just one team, and for me, you knew everyone, you've worked for everyone, and obviously it's just one team. So sometimes it was quite easy to get your own bit of space. But in the hub kind of life we had, it was so different. There was 8 teams staying in one hotel, like all together. It was, and the coaches and staff and the physios, psychologists were all together. So it felt like being back at school, to be honest, like going for your lunchtime break and things like that. But I think I like that from my point of view for my first time there, because it meant I got to know the girls so much better than I might have done if that hadn't been the case. So again, I just tried to see the positives of it.
Was there any highlights then? Anything fun that happened within the village that you're allowed to share?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, so we actually had a little competition in our so each team had 2 floors, and on our floor we got had some little chippers, and we got a little foam roller, and we tried to get this little sponge ball into the foam roller, and it took us like a good few weeks, and like every night we'd come up from tea and we'd just be chipping at it, and I'd chip at it for a good hour or so, and it was just the most frustrating thing. And one night I just came upstairs and just absolutely fluked it. First hit went in. I think it was one of the first hits after I probably squiffed it into the wall a few times. Just went in, and we all just like went ballistic. We all just like ran up and down the hall, just celebrating. And it seems really sad now when I talk about it, actually. But at the time, it felt like a big achievement in the bubble hub life. That was probably a highlight for me.
And then, obviously, you got to play with lots of people that you never met before over in Australia. So what did you learn from that sort of experience?
Yeah, I felt like I learned quite a lot in terms of, I think, obviously I learned a lot cricket wise. There's always that kind of aspect to it, but I think I learned a lot kind of off the field, like how everyone recharges themselves and finds time for themselves. Like all of them were so different and had their own things, and some of the girls were suggesting that I never even heard of or tried, and I'd try it and I actually enjoyed it. So I think more from kind of a well-being and off the field, I learned quite a lot kind of being in that particular environment and with a lot of different people about how they switch off from cricket. So I think that was one big learner for me.
Did you have a favourite game that you played in? Like a favourite moment from one of the games you played over in Australia?
Favorite game. I think one of them was when we'd not lost a few, but I think we came up against the Sixers, and we knew that obviously they're a really strong side, but we needed to get winning a few games, and then we just got to sit and watch Sophie Devine hit a ton. And it was honestly some of the best batting I've ever seen. And then after the game, everyone was just buzzing because I think we'd kind of had a bit of a rocky patch at the start, especially with the rain-affected games. So it felt like the first little milestone to then going on to a winning streak. And it was just a really nice day. We all kind of after the game, got some food together, all sat and had a few drinks, and it was just really nice, and got to watch some great batting. And yeah, I think that day was pretty special.
So you've bowled against lots of world-class batters now. Is there any batters that you look at and you go, oh, not sure how I'm going to bowl at them yet?
Oh, God, there are a few. Yeah, I think when I got reverse hit for 6, that was a point where I just stood there and I was thinking, what do I bowl? Because I said to Sophie, I was like, I know exactly what ball I'm going to bowl. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get and I bowled it and I thought, I've got it. And she reversed it for 6. And I just thought, that was Laura Kimmins. And I just thought, and then I think she swept me for a 4 behind square, and it was a great shot as well. And I thought it was an okay ball. And I just stood there like, not sure what to bowl now. So that was kind of a moment I had against Meg Lanning. She was just world class, and some of the shots she played just looked effortless. But yeah, so I found it really tough to bowl to her. And then, yeah, there was just a lot of, I think it was more, and some batters didn't necessarily I went for a lot of runs off, but they played so differently, their style, like a lot of, so I think that was one thing I learned, and just trying to adapt to it. But those were a couple of the players where I thought, God, I'm not sure. Where a few times I did question what to bowl, but after you played them once, like, or twice, like you just knew what to do next time. So it was kind of nice playing them twice, because then by the second time I knew exactly what I was doing, and for if I had a plan A, plan C, like I had all of that together. So yeah.
And then, is there one thing this year that you've learned about yourself? It doesn't have to be cricket related, but something this year that's taught you something new about yourself you didn't know. I think
I've learned how to kind of cope with getting through things being mentally drained. Often I find it, obviously it's quite easy sometimes to switch off from cricket when you're at home, because you can go see your friends and family, but being in a hub environment away from home for a couple of months, at times I did find it really hard to try and not talk about or try and think about cricket when you're playing, when the only place you're staying is with the cricket people. And I think I learned kind of how to, if I woke up feeling really like I was really struggling that day, I just felt really mentally drained, about how to get through it, because I did experience one game where I just felt mentally I was just not, I didn't feel there. I felt like the game went past me as I saw it, and I was trying really hard to switch on and try and get through it, but it's like my brain was saying, no, not today. I'm not switching on today. And I had a few days like that, and it was quite tricky, but I feel like I've learned how to stop that from happening, or to kind of accept that's happening and get through it. So that's probably one of my biggest learners.
Yeah. And then last nice little question for you. What is next?
It's nice.
What's next for Sarah Glenn?
What's next? Oh, what is next? Well, I mean, so we've got a month off now from cricket, which is really nice. So I'm just going to really focus on switching off from cricket, spending time with my family for Christmas. That's one of the big steps for me right now, just because I've been away from home a long time. And then we get back together in the new year and have some training at Loughborough. So I'll be really excited to see the girls, because I've not seen them for a while. So again, I think I'm just going to approach it how I have done after each bubble, just kind of going back to basics and just getting kind of through training and gradually build it up. And then we've got a tour to New Zealand in the new year. So fingers crossed I'm going there. But if not, I'll be just staying at home, training at Loughborough. So hoping either way, just to keep working on my game. So yeah, that's kind of the brief plan.
So anything that you're looking forward to hopefully being a part of next year? Because obviously there's lots of things coming up in the coming years for the England setup. Anything that you're aspiring to try and get your name in for?
Oh God. So obviously I think 2022 is going to be a massive year. Obviously I think we've got like massive competitions like Commonwealth Games, the Ashes, things like that, where I've not kind of played in yet. So I think a big thing for me is going to be working really hard, so that in 2022 I'm hopefully a key player in those games, or I'm getting selected for the teams. No matter how this year goes, I'm just, even if I get dropped, whatever happens, I'm just going to keep pushing on to hopefully have that kind of end goal of kind of 2022. But I think in the meantime, I'm really excited for the to play in the 100, that coming up as well. Like, that's a really exciting tournament as well. So I'm just going to take each tournament as it comes and hopefully not look too far in advance.
Well, yeah, that's all I've got for you today then. So thank you very much.
No, thanks
again.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
And we'll have to have a catch up again in a year's time. See how you're getting on.
Yes, hopefully COVID has gone.
Hopefully it'll be
Fingers
a
crossed.
face-to-face meeting next time.
Yes, I hope so.